Namaste, Swagatam. In today's edition of Brihat Mridanga Utsava, a series of conversations with Dr. Srinivas Jammalamadaka garu, we will explore the significance of the great and vibrant Navaratri Utsava, 9 nights of deep absorption in Ma Durga, a special time indeed for all of us. Navaratri is observed and celebrated in different ways across the country. There is Navaratri Bommala Koluvu or Gulu in the south, along with the famous Mysore Dashara, Garba Danda in the west, Ram Leelas and Ravana Dahan in the north, and of course, Durga Puja in the east. However, what are the Śāstrika and Pauranika roots of this beautiful Utsava? How do we understand its essence better for ourselves? Today, we will learn more from Srinivas garu, who is the co-founder of Sri Kameshwari Foundation and is presently working as scholar IKS courses in Siddhanta Knowledge Foundation. He has been conferred with awards such as Tarakaratnam and Vidwan Mani by Sri Shankaracharya ji and Shastra Kalanidhi by the Madhya Pradesh State Governor. Namaste Andi, Swagatam.
Namaste.
So we're all geared up to welcome Devī Ma starting October 3rd this year. We would like to hear from you, Andi, in your study and experience of the Shastras. What have you learnt about the Navaratri Utsava from the texts and the scriptures?
Yeah. So my first avenue for understanding any festival would be Nirnaya Sindhu. So from there I see this verse from the Bhargavarchana Deepika. Shrunurajan Pravakshyami Chandika Pujanakramam Ashvinasya Site Pakshe Pratipat Sushubhe Dine. So here it says that I'm hereby hereafter I am going to explain about the Puja Padhti of Chandika, Chandi Devi on the Ashvina Shukla Paksha Pratipat. That is the after following day of Ashvina, what you call Bhadrapada Amavasya. So the next day of Bhadrapada Amavasya would be Ashvina Shukla Pratipat. So from that day, we have to start the Pujanam of Chandika.
Next day of Mahalaya, basically.
Yes. Yeah, after the Mahalaya Amavasya. And then we have even in Devi Purana that Yacha Ashvayuji Mase Syat Pratipat Bhadrayanvita Shukla Mamarchanam Tasyam Shata Yajna Phalapradam. So this Sakshat Shri Devī Shakti herself says that on the Pratipat Tithi of the first day of first Tithi of the Ashvija Masa, which is along with something called as Bhadra Karanam. So there is another in the Panchangas we have Karanam and Bhadra is one of the Karanam, and on the Bhadra Karanam when it is Pratipat of the Ashvija Shukla Paksha, then you have to do my Archanam is what Devi herself says. And not only here, in Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Narada Purana, Kalika Puranas also, we do find the this thing of Navaratri Vrata, that is Devī Navarātri, starting from the Ashvija Shukla Pratipat.
Okay. And what are the common or well-known Pauranika Kathas associated with this? This is the Shastra, what it tells you, you told us that this is when it started.
Yeah.
But what are the Pauranika Kathas associated with Navaratri?
Yeah. So, Pauranika Kathas, as far as to see as a Katha, like as we have gone through some of the stories or legends for Raksha Bandhan and other festivals or Kojagari Purnima, we do not find any story here. So it is more like we do only find the vidhi. Saying
Puja
that.
vidhi.
Puja vidhi, and Devi herself saying that you have to do my puja and etc. But nothing from that do we find any story behind the Devī Navaratri in the Ashvija Masa.
So what is the Puja vidhi in terms of how do we worship her in the 9 nights? How do they describe, how do the Shastra describe Devi, or how does she describe herself in the 9 nights?
So the 9 nights actually it is like we have the Devi Puja, which is the main ritual, and we have Upavasa also, but it states that Atra Devi Pujaiva Pradhanam Upavasaditu Angam. So the main thing that we have to do is the Archana or Puja of Devi And if our health and etc. permits, then only we can do upavasa. So upavasa is more like the constituent of the whole Navaratri Vrata, but the main part would be doing the Devi Puja. And
because some people can do the vratas, like they can keep a fast the whole day. Some people maybe take a skip one meal. Some people do nirjala. So depending on the capacity.
Yes, and that too, Tacha Pujanam Ratrau Karyam. And when should we actually do this puja? That also in the evening or in the night time. So essentially, this is called as Nakta Vratam. So Nakta is night time.
Naktalu, yes, I've heard Naktalu. Okay, that's what it is.
So what is Nakta Vratam? So in the normal sense, Nakta Vratam is actually fasting until the night and having a food in the night. So that is Nakta Vratam normally. But
night,
here,
you mean dusk, or you mean night as in after 9, or what exactly? What time?
After sunset. After sunset, you eat something. So that is you break your fast. So that is Nakta Vratam. So but here they give a clarification. Here Nakta Vratam is not evolved. It's not evolving around the Upavasa, but it is evolving around the Devi Puja. So it says that Ashvine Masi Meghante Mahishasura Mardinim Nishashu Pujayed Bhaktya Sopavasadika Kramat. So from Devi Purana it is said that Mahishasura Mardini has to be her puja has to be done in the night with Upavasa Vrata. So Nisha Ashu, that too in the night it has to be done. Ashvine Masi Meghante Pratipadya Tithir Bhavet Tasyam Naktam Prakurvita Ratrau Devincha Pujayet. So you should do the Nakta Upavasa, and the why you should do puja in the night. It says that Ratri Rupa Yato Devi Diva Rupo Maheshwaraha. So the morning, the Prabha, or the morning time when the sun is there, it is considered to be the form of Maheshwara, and the night time is considered to be the form of Devi, and hence we have to do the puja of Devi in the night. And it is even said that Ratri Vratatvam Abhipretyaiva. So it is said that the Ratri Vrata is the main thing, and that is where we are using the word Nakta Vrata here. So here essentially it means that whether you can do Upavasa or not is secondary, but the primary thing that has to be done is the Ratri Puja of Devi.
Okay, that is important. That is the main core of what the Shastra tells us, to pray to Devi Stuti in the evening or night after sunset. And there are 3-4 Navaratris, or how many are there? Because there's Sharadiya Navaratri is this one. There is Vasanta Navaratri, which is around Ramanavami. That is the time after Ugadi. What other Navaratris, and why is this the most famous?
Yes. So in Devi Bhagavatam we find this verse. Chaitre Ashvine Tatha Ashadhe Maghe Karyo Mahotsavaha Chaturushu Navaratreshu Viseshat Phaladayakaha. So that means the Chaitra Navaratri, Ashvina Navaratri, Ashadha Navaratri, and Magha Navaratri. So there are 4 Navaratris essentially. Chaitra, Ashadha, Ashvina, and Magha, if you see according to the order, natural order. So all these 4 Navaratris are very much essential, and that too for us actually Vasanta Navaratri and Ashvija Navaratri are more famous.
Yes.
And nowadays it is more about Ashvija Navaratri, but still we do have a tradition of doing Vasanta Navaratri also. So why Vasanta Navaratri and Ashvija Navaratri are important? So in the same Devi Bhagavata we find Sharatkale Viseshena Kartavyam Vidhipurvakam Vasantecha Prakartavyam Tathaiva Bhakti Purvakam Dvavrutu Yama Damshtrakhyo Nonam Sarva Janeshu Vai Dvaveva Sumahaghorau Rutu Rogakarau Nrunam Vasanta Sharadaveva Jananasha Karavubhau. So it is very interestingly they state why Vasanta Navaratri and Ashvija Navaratri are essential is because these are called as Yamadamshtrau. Dvavrutu Yamadamshtrau. So the Vasanta Rutu and Sharad Rutu are considered to be Yamadamshtra. That means these actually Navaratris, it is possible for death of many people. because yamadamshtra. So jananasha karau ubhau. It is also said that it will even cause jananasha. So why, if we see it from a more practical perspective, the significant change in weather happens in Vasanta Rutu and Sharad Rutu. So in Vasanta Rutu, we come, the significant change happens from cold winter to summer kind of a weather. So where cold will be there, and afterwards the coldness will get off, and again hot, summer season happens. And again in Sharad Rutu, we enter into the winter season. So these both are considered to be harmful for people. And
transition times. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a transition time. So
yes, it's a transition time, and it is very much essential for of these Navaratris, because she is the one. Because even while to any disease, we have a tradition in the north of doing puja to Shitala Devi.
Yes.
So Devi essentially is considered to very much important for us, for our health. So these both Navaratris, in that we find in Devi Bhagavata saying that it is very much essential for us to actually do these vratas in order for our well-being itself.
Wonderful. So in this manner that you said, that we should pray in the evening after dusk, and if possible keep upavasa or fast, any other sadhana or puja padhati that is mentioned in the text? For example, a lot of people chant the Durga Saptashati or Chandi part. Is that recommended? Is it part of the texts or shāstra? Lalita Sahasranamamu in the south is very common in the Telugu states. What are the recommendations, and what is to be avoided? Any myths that, lot of information is out there. So if you could tell us, what is the padhati that is actually prescribed, if it is so?
Yeah. So essentially, the 9 Navaratri starting from Pratipad to Mahanavami. So until Navami, it is very much essential. So if one is not able to perform Upavasa and Puja all these 9 days from Pratipad to Navami, there is another option that states that at least you have to do the 3 days essential, which is Saptami, Ashtami and Navami. So Upavashe Ashaktanam Navaratra Vrate Punaha Uposhana Trayam Proktam Yathoktam Phaladam Nrupa. So who are not able to do the 9 days Upavasa, they can do 3 days of Upavasa when Saptamyam Tatha Ashtamyam Navamyam Bhakti Bhavataha Triratri Karanat Sarvam Phalam Bhavati Pujanam. So this Triratri Vrata at least we have to perform, that is on Saptami, Ashtami and Navami. So normally Ashtami is called Durga Ashtami and Navami is called Mahanavami. Saptami, normally there is a tradition of doing a Saraswati Avahanam on Saptami. So Saraswati Avahanam on Saptami and doing this pujanam. And another thing that is normally done is the Ayudha Puja and Shami Puja. So in Narada Purana we find Ashvine Shukla Navami Mahapurva Prakirtita Aparanhe Shami Puja Karya Asyam Pragdishit Dvija. So on the morning of Shukla Navami, that is on Mahanavami, the last day of Navaratri, in the morning we have to do a Shami Puja facing the east. And Tato Nishayam Pragyame Khadgam Dhanu Rishundakam Ishun Gadan Shulam Shaktim Cha Parashum Dhurikan Charma Khetakam Chatram Dhvajam Gajan Chashva Govrisham Pustakam Tulam Dandam Pasham Chakrashankau Gadhadhai Rupacharakaihi Sampujya Mahisham Tatra Bhadrakalyai Samalabhet. So in the evening of Navami, we have to do something called as Ayudha Puja. Even today, in South India, it is very much prevalent that people do Ayudha Puja, that is whatever Ayudhas, that is khadga or knives and whatever kinds of Ayudhas, and whatever machinery that we use, we normally do.
Also, yes, a lot of people do for computers. Yes.
Yeah, for computers, and many people who do some mechanical work, they also do the puja for their machines.
Machinery.
And
Yes.
But here, even another interesting insight is that these all have to be Khatgam, Dhanuhu, Ishu, Gada. These are all actually have to be there in our home. So this actually indicates the kṣātra spirit of our civilization.
So you think every house should have this, you're saying? Like we all should have it for Navami?
By seeing this verse, we understand that this is very common to have these instruments in house and using them.
What are the ones? Khadgam is a sickle.
Khadga, Dhanuhu and Ishu, that is the arrow and the bow and arrow. Gada. So
mace.
These all mace. So these all, maybe by seeing this we can understand that it is common to everyone. Because Navaratri Vrata is not only for one particular person or something, because it goes on to say that anyone, even all the 4 Varnas, and not only 4 Varnas, even Mlechas can also do the Navaratri Vrata, is what we find. So that is the extent that it goes, and by seeing this verse we may even see that how kṣātra spirit was very much prevalent in our civilization, which we lost today.
So this is very interesting, Andy. So you're saying this is something, and we can definitely revive it, because Mahanavami is Ayodhya Puja Day, and I think for us to acquire these should not be a problem. We should all have these and do the Ayodhya Puja. But what about chanting Durga Saptashati or Lalita Sahasranamamu during these days and or otherwise? Is that something you recommend for the lay person who's not had a training in chanting? If somebody wants to take it up, is that recommended?
Yeah. So another thing also I wish to add to this is, normally what is the puja that we have to do all the 9 days is one, because there are many deities, many Shakti Swarupas. Some say it is the Shri Vidya, some say this and that. So normally, essentially, it is the Shakti Swarupa Devi that has to be venerated. If you belong to the Shri Vidya Sampradaya, you can do the Shri Vidya, whatever the deities come in the Shri Vidya, those deities can be worshipped each and every day. We do have that Sampradaya. If not, we do find in some of the manuals that it is the Kameshwara and Kameshwari. So Śubha Caturthī are called as Kameshwara, Kameshwari in the Shri Vidya Sampradaya. So that is one way of doing. And the another way of doing it is on Saptami, Ashtami and Navami, we have 3 deities, Saraswati, Durga and Mahalakshmi. So essentially this is part of Chandi Upasana. Mahakali, Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi. So this is what we say. So it is Mahasaraswati on Saptami, Mahakali on Ashtami and Mahalakshmi on Navami. So these 3 deities are one, and essentially, and even we find in Saptashati itself that Varshiki, Yacha Varshiki. So there the Devi herself says that yearly puja of myself in the Ashwayuja Masa you all have to do. So by that we understand that even Chandi Upasana is also being done, and that is very much now popular. So Chandi Upasana can be done. Coming to the Adhikara, essentially, so even in the Appai Dikshitendra's Siddhanta Lesha Sangraha, he very much explicitly quotes that, says that even though the Shudras do not have the Adhikara to recite Vedas, but they definitely have the Adhikara to do the mantra, Panchakshari Mantra Upasana and etc. is what Appai Dikshitendra says. So if you are initiated into any of the mantra sadhana in a proper manner, with a proper guru, in a proper sampradaya, then it is very much possible. And coming to the Saptashati explicitly, so there are 2 types of Saptashati upasanas that are done. One is with the Navarana mantra, which is called as Chandi Navarana mantra, and the other one without that. So Saptashati, we have what is called as, from the Markandeya Purana, we have 700, it is not actually 700 shlokas, but at the the total there are 700 verses is what they say. So 700 verses are there, and the recitation of these 700 verses is done without the Navarana mantra and with the Navarana mantra. So if you have to do it with the Navarana mantra, you need to get a proper initiation into the upasana from a guru in the proper tradition, in the proper manner. If not, like the Lalita Sahasranama, there are stotras, around 4 stotras in the Saptashati itself. In the Prathama Charitra, Madhyama Charitra and Uttama Charitra. And there I have seen some of the Sampradaya gurus, there is even a vidhi for that. wherein you can do the chanting of those stotras themselves, wherein initiation of into Chandi Navarana is not a prerequisite. So that is one thing that is possible.
Okay. And those 4 mantras, maybe if we can put it in the description, is that possible? So that
The
people know.
stotras, yeah. If
Stotras.
possible, I will compile them, and definitely we can put it in the
Okay,
description.
thank you so much. This really helps. And the practice of learning something new on Vijay Dashami, is that something only in the South India? Because in Telugu states or in the South, learning Carnatic music or dance, the teachers, the gurus will call you, especially on Vijay Dashami, or you have this extra class on that day. Is there a reference in the Shastras, or is this a prevalent
Yeah.
practice?
So normally there is another this thing, maybe in addition to this, is even Navaratri nowadays is called as Dashara. So even counting Vijay Dashami. So there is one again popular notion that Vijay Dashami is also part of Navaratri. But if we see all these scriptures, we find that there is nowhere mention of Dashami. It is every time talking about Pratipad to Mahanavami. So this is what is Navaratri. So then where does this Dashami come from? Vijaya Dashami come from? So I have come to know this from a Upasaka that normally on Saptami Tithi we do the Saraswati Avahana, and on Navami we do, on Dashami morning we do the Uddhavasana. So we, after the Navaratri is done, we pray the or the Devi to actually go to her own place again, as we are done with the Upasana. So as you do the Uddhavasana of Saraswati also as part of Navaratri, so it is an auspicious time, and on that particular Dashami Tithi we have a Muhurta called Vijaya Muhurta.
Okay.
So that is prescribed in the every Panchanga on Vijaya Dashami. When is the Vijaya Muhurta? So when it is that is why it is called Vijaya Dashami. So that means on the Vijaya Muhurta, as it is even Saraswati is also done. I mean, Puja of Saraswati is also done. So and another thing that from Saptami to Navami, it is Anadhyaya. Because we do the Saraswati Avahana, we do Upasana of Saraswati for 3 days. So the students, they will be indulged in, I mean in the traditional sense I'm saying, they will, so normally we do have Anadhyayas. So when to study, when not to study. That is in Amavasya, Pratipat, Paurnami and Pratipat and Ashtami, they don't study. So in the similar way, from Saptami to Navami also they don't study. It doesn't mean that it's a holiday. It's a holiday for them. But it is a time for Upasana, deep Upasana for them. So they do Saraswati Upasana until then. Again on the Vijaya Muhurta, they start again studying. So that is why
that's where it comes from, starting something.
Yes.
Okay.
Starting again studying something. So that is why in the South, even schools also start their admissions from Vijay Dashami.
Yes. Okay. And this is a very interesting fact. Thank you, Andy. But the Garba Danda that we do for Devi, with Devi in the center and the devotees and bhaktas dancing around her, or the Bommala Kolu or Golu, where we expressing our devotion to Prakriti and Devi via arrangement of dolls and murtis. All these have a deep religious significance and rooted in the values of Sanatana Dharma. But if somebody is not a bhakta or a believer of Devi and wants to partake in the festivities, what would be your advice for the host as well as somebody who's asking? I mean, what is the correct decorum for this? Because we see a lot of this happening right now. So how do we
Yes,
address
now it has become a trend kind of a thing.
Yes.
Pop culture. So it has become very much similar to a religious discotheque environment has come into place,
Yes.
where very absurd trends are there. Where I have seen maybe from the horror movie Nun, they wear that robes and all that stuff. It has become something, and as a Halloween they started
Costume kind of. Yes.
costume trend and etc., which is actually not very much sincere towards the whole objective. So objective behind the Garbha, this thing, because where in Garbha it is one way of actually doing Aradhana to Devi. So even Nritya is also part of Upacharas of Devi. Of any puja, we have Nritya, Gana also as Upopacharas. They don't come under the main Shodashopacharas, but they come under the Upopacharas. So this is actually part of that, and each and every region, they own or they actually flourish with some kind of an aspect to it, as in similar to we do have in Andhra something called as Sande Gobbamma at the time of Sankranti, where a lamp is in the between, and there are Gobbamma, that means cow dung, this thing, and they do similar to Garbha.
Yes.
So they have songs and they go around the the Deepa. So these all are parts of the
celebrating worship. Yes.
Worshipping of the deity itself. So because not everyone can actually sit and do japa, not everyone can actually sit and do
And
the
need
recitation.
not also. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because everyone comes from their own purva janma samskara. So everyone, so we have different kinds of upasanas. So even the main essence behind Gana, or I mean the Sangeeta or Vadya or Nritya, is to actually experience the oneness of the Parabrahman itself. It doesn't stop with mere entertainment aspect of it. So
and what people want is entertainment. Unfortunately, when somebody is asking that I want to participate, they want only the entertainment bit. And what you're saying, the upasana, the worship, that angle is missing, and that is not right.
If someone is oriented towards the Garbha or even the Nritya in such a way, at the end of their performance, they will be sobbing out of pleasure. So they will be actually be able to experience the iota of Brahmanubhuti. So that is the main essence behind which we even call it as Thayi Bhava in Sahitya Shastra. So that has to happen. So it is of Bhakti. So Bhakti's Thayi Bhava would be Karuna. So that has to come. So they will be actually sobbing. The real performers who are into the whole thing of Upasana, they can actually experience that. So that is the main whole concept behind all these practices.
So we can actually say that are we one of the few civilizations, or perhaps the only one currently, which worships the divine feminine in such a grand scale. Each region has a different way of celebration in such a systematic manner. Because I have not heard of a continual civilization which we have a Padhti, a Puja Padhti that we follow in different regions, which is continuing for so long to worship the divine feminine. Can we safely say that we are perhaps the only civilization who does that?
Definitely, that we can definitely say. And not only that, if you see in any aspect, even if you come from the Shri Vidya aspect, if you come from the Vedantic aspect, anywhere, without something called as Shakti. So even what is the resemblance of these three Shaktis and Chandika? So normally there is this word Chandika. We use Chandi Saptashati. And if you actually start the Upasana, we start with Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati. So what are these three deities and what is that Chandi deity? If you see that, it is very much that Mahakali, Mahasaraswati, Mahakali and Mahalakshmi, they represent Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti and Kriya Shakti. So which is inherent in everyone. So in that way, everyone has a feminine aspect and a masculine aspect to them. Even in some of the Upasana Granthas, we find that even the Purusha Devatas also are the forms of Stri Devatas themselves. So in that way, if we see from the feminine, worshipping, ours is the most what you call layered, multi-layered Upasana. And I don't think anywhere there is such a whole universe of śākta-upāsanā, one side, and all the upasanas the other side. And we are very much, at least we could say, fortunate that we are still able to retain at least some of the traditions until now. And much of Renaissance is also happening. So yeah, in that way, definitely Bharat is the only place where we are still, living civilization of this sort.
So lastly, Andy, how would you suggest a lay person if they want to start? A lot of people do celebrate by maybe buying new clothes or going to some pandal or going to the temple, but to do a regular sadhana for 9 days for a lay person who wants to get into it. One is, you said, after sunset, if one can keep the vrata, not to eat at sunbreak, sundown, and then after doing stuti or chanting certain verses or stotras, anything else apart from garba or chanting Lalita Sahasranamam, etc. Anything else you would like to add, or this is what one should do? And Ayudha Puja, which was something new that I learned, that it is expected of all the households to have these ayudhas on Mahanavami and worship. Anything that I'm missing, and anything you want to add?
Nothing else. Any form of Devi Stotras are very much helpful.
Okay.
Wherever we can start. If Lalita Sahasranam is also very big, you find you can start with any stotra of Shankaracharya. I mean, I cannot say one stotra because there are multiple stotras. So any stotra which you feel is easy to recite and where you can start your journey towards discovering or experiencing the Divine Mother. So definitely we can start anywhere. Yeah.
Wonderful, Andy. Wish you a very, very happy Navaratri and Vijay Dashami. Chala dhanyawadalu for clarifying all our queries. Wish everyone a wonderful, immersive and spiritually enriching 9 days with the kripa of Ma Durga. Thank you, Andy.
Śubha Navaratri.